Hey everybody, Daniel here with another Casual Dude review, and today we're going to be doing another unboxing. As you can tell by the box, this is another 2025 piece, and so this would be my second one this year. Before we jump into the unboxing, I kind of want to do a little bit of a personal anecdotal market update. So obviously I'm not buying watches to sell them, so I'm not really seeing what's trading at a higher value on the gray market or anything like that. I don't really associate myself with the gray market. I don't buy from the gray market. I don't sell. But I have gotten a lot of calls this year. And my problem initially is, if you've seen some of my other videos, I have quite a few watches. I'm actually at 16 watches right now. And a lot of them are sitting in the safe. They don't get the wrist time they deserve. And what happened was I would, say, oh, add this to my list, add this to my list, thinking that I'd get them like a year out, maybe 2 years out on some of the more, difficult to get pieces. And I just got so many calls so quickly. So, for my day date and my two-tone Daytona, I got those calls within like a week. And so it was a little too much too fast. And so I've decided to really be picky about the watches that I buy. Now, obviously, if you've seen the title of this video, this is a two-tone watch. And so I've gotten, of course, two-tone precious metal a little bit easier to get right now. But I've gotten calls for a lot of stainless as well. And I've been turning them down because I really don't feel like they'll get the use that they deserve. And then on top of it, I'm starting to realize with all my watches, there's some that obviously get a lot more wrist time than others. But the ones that are just sitting in my safe that I'm paying to insure, eventually I'm going to have to pay to service them. It's time to just start turning things down. And if it's a piece that I want, I'm sure things will be a lot better in the future. But I am getting a lot of calls from multiple ADs, which is pretty nice. And so I really hope people are out there getting the watches that they want. I know LA is a bigger market. It's a more competitive market because there's a lot of money here, but we also have multiple ADs in a pretty short area. And a lot of ADs now are disassociating from jewelry stores. So you don't have to play the game of buying jewelry to get the watches that you really want. And so, Rolex has their own game. I also shop at, a butcher, we have one down here in Southern California, and there's also one in Las Vegas. They are now owned by Rolex, which has been interesting, but I've also found out they have a lot of their own rules, which has been really interesting as well. And so you would think that a shop owned by Rolex wouldn't be playing games on the Daytona, but they still play games. And so, obviously you're not gonna have to buy jewelry and things like that to play the game, but they do want people with a high spend count, and they also limit to how many watches people can get per year. And they also try to make it so that you can't buy the same model, even if it's a different reference number or configuration. So if you've already bought a GMT, it's going to be very unlikely they'll give you another GMT. And so the allotment's been kind of weird on that. But I'm hoping the market is settling down and that more people out there will start getting the call. This one was an interesting one. So like I said, this is a two-tone. And so I'm sure a lot of you are like, oh, two-tone, that's pretty easy to get right now. And that's true, but I specifically asked for a two-tone. I don't have a lot in Everose Gold, and so I had a kind of a cold call. AD reached out to me and said, is there anything that you want? And I said, I don't have a lot in Everose Gold, so I'm looking for another piece. And so they sent me one, a Datejust that was two-tone Everose Gold, that had a Sundust style, I believe that was called. It's kind of got like a pink hue to it. Really nice. It's a beautiful piece, but I knew for a fact I wouldn't wear an Everose Gold watch with a Sundust style. And they said, let me see what else I have. And so this is what they offered. Let me go ahead and take the tags and the link out. And this is an unboxing, so I haven't really taken it out of the box since I bought it. So let's take that bezel guard off as well. And this is what I picked up. Normally, I would have said no to most Everose Gold Datejust right now. I have my two-tone gold Datejust, which I have right here, and so we'll do a little bit side-by-side comparison on that, just so you can see what the color hues are. But a Wimbledon dial, I couldn't pass up, and so I decided to bite the bullet and pick up this piece. I'm trying to stay away from, watches that have too much of a similar dial, and in my collection, I have a lot of black dials. I have a few white dials, but I don't have anything like this. And so obviously associated with Wimbledon, the tennis tournament, this is something that just kind of screams Rolex. And so I absolutely love that about this piece, is that it's got a unique dial. It's one of the few that I have with Roman markers, so I thought that was pretty cool. And at first, honestly, I thought I wasn't gonna like the color combination. I mean, Wimbledon by itself with the gray dial and the green Roman markers is already kind of a weird combination, and I didn't think it would sit well with the Everose Gold, but when they sent me a picture, I watched some reviews on YouTube, which I'm hoping you guys, that's how you're finding me, is saying, oh, I was offered this watch, or I'm interested in this watch, I want to see it in person. And so I watched some reviews on YouTube, I watched some unboxings, I watched some people kind of do their little wrist roll thing, and I love the combination. Loved it even more when I saw it in person. So I decided to pick it up. And again, this is not something I particularly asked for. I asked for something in Everose Gold, and this is what they had. And I decided to go for it. So I'm really glad I turned down that Sundust one, because I don't think I would have worn it much. This one, I think I will actually wear quite a bit. It's just such a unique piece. That Wimbledon dial is so classic. Obviously, two-tone Datejust is a classic piece. When a lot of people think Rolex, they either think Submariner or Datejust. And so oddly enough, I do not have a stainless steel Datejust. I don't think I need one at this point, because I have too many sports models, too many watches that are already on like an Oyster bracelet or just full stainless. And so I think this one kind of diversifies the collection a little bit. Everose Gold has a beautiful hue to it. And then again, the Wimbledon dial. And so what we'll do here, when you look at a lot of pictures of these online, sometimes it's tough to say which one is yellow gold and which one is the Everose Gold. So I did bring out the only other Datejust that I have, which is the yellow gold one. So we'll put this down for a sec. And I like to travel with it in a service pouch. These are great little pouches that kind of fit easily into your luggage. And I get a lot of mileage out of this watch. The reason it's in the travel pouch is because I traveled with it and I wear it regularly. So let's go ahead and do kind of a side-by-side. Now this to me is like the classic Rolex watch. Like, I see myself wearing this as an old man. I'm relatively young now, but this is a watch that it's definitely can age with you. There's so many of these like on the market that are, 30, 40 years old plus, and they still look amazing. So they've actually kept the heritage of the gold Datejust with the champagne dial. It's a legacy piece. I don't think we'll ever see anything happen to this, but I absolutely love this piece. Surprisingly, like I said, it is a daily, and I'll wear this, dressed up. I'll wear it with shorts and a t-shirt, and it just looks amazing either way. And of course, it was one of the watches that in The Sopranos that was worn, and so a lot of people like to buy the quote-unquote Sopranos watches, which is why the Datejust had, or the Day Date, the full yellow gold with the champagne dial and the stick markers is still so popular. A lot of people call it the gabagool for that reason. But yeah, these are two beautiful pieces that to me are diversified enough for me to justify owning both of them. And again, the lack of like Everose Gold or any kind of like metal like that in my collection really makes this stand out along with that dial. So here they are side by side. Of course, when you get a two-tone, the bezel is going to be part of that two-tone configuration. The crown is going to be part of that. So you see we have a yellow gold crown here and the Everose Gold crown here, and then the fluted bezel. And then both of them are on a Jubilee bracelet, and you can kind of see the color difference here. And honestly, I don't even think the camera picks it up that well, so hopefully you kind of get a good idea of what the color differences are here. But let's go ahead and put the yellow gold one away for now and take an up-close look here. And so as you can see, the 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then again, the 10 and 11 markers are all in that kind of Rolex green Roman style. And then we have kind of this odd stick marker here at the 9 o'clock hour. And my guess would be that it is meant to balance out the lack of a marker at the 3 o'clock position, because that is where we have our date. And if somebody can prove me wrong on that, then please leave it in the comments and I will boost it, because I do not know everything, nor do I claim to. But yeah, as you can see, I guess we could turn this into a general Datejust review, because those of you who might be interested in a Datejust, I mean, the stainless steel is not going to be much different than a two-tone. And so what you can see here, to me, the Jubilee is the way to go on a Datejust with the fluted bezel. Of course, it's all subjective, so do what works best for you. I never really liked these on Oyster or with a smooth bezel, but there are some configurations out there that I've seen that look a lot more sporty that I've actually come to like grow on me. And so if that's your style, go for it. I think you should buy what you love. These watches will probably outlive us. And so I've already, picked the watches that I plan on handing down to my son one day. But the Datejust you can't go wrong with. But I still do consider Jubilee and Fluted my personal preference, just because I have a Submariner and a GMT, and all of those are very sporty. And so I wanted something that can be dressed up a little bit, even though I said, these can easily be worn dressed down as well. I think they look absolutely great. I do have a 7 3/4 inch wrist. And so with that, I usually take one link off of that. So I've taken one link off of this piece here. And for me, that's perfect. I can wear it with usually when I put it on, I've got the micro adjustment closed. And then I'll open it up as my wrist swells throughout the day. And I've never had an issue with sizing on that. And so the way the micro adjustment works on these, let's see here, is it open? That's closed. It's usually tough that first time. There we go. And so you can see there's a little bit of like kind of this, there's a link here that will snap onto the bar here. And so if it's extended, it gives you about a half link size, I think. And then what you do is you would just fold this up and then snap it back into the place. This one is really tight. And so, like I said, the first couple of times it's always a little bit difficult, but so let's see if we can hear that pop. There you go. And so once it's snapped in there, you've got it closed, and this is usually how I'll put it on. I'll put it on closed, and throughout the day, if I need a little bit of room, I will unsnap that and give myself that little breathing room there. All right, and so here is the clasp. Again, the rose gold kind of goes through the middle of that. And just an amazing piece. I never was interested in the Wimbledon before, but it did grow on me. And like I said, right now I'm kind of in the phase where I'm looking for things that will diversify my collection. And I think this does a good job on multiple accounts, because we have the Everose Gold, which the only other Everose Gold piece in my collection is the root beer. And so seeing it on Jubilee, it kind of really makes it sparkle. It's gorgeous. And then the dial, that Wimbledon dial, is just so unique, so cool. And this grew a lot on me, and I think it's just quintessential Rolex, right? It's something that kind of defines the brand from the sportiness of it. We know that Rolex has, a significant presence in sports like golf and tennis. Used to have it in Formula One, but that's no longer the case, as Louis Vuitton became the primary sponsor of the Formula One racing. And yeah, a little bit of a wrist roll there so you can see how the fluted bezel catches the light. And we'll do a quick wrist roll here. Now, as always, if you do have any questions, comments, anything you'd like to contribute to the video, leave it in the comments. I read all of them. I try to respond to as many as I can if they make sense, or if I can help somebody out with a decision or anything like that. But I am very proud of my new piece. I am not sure what my next piece will be. I have enough spend at 2 ADs where I've requested a stainless Daytona, so I really hope this year I'll be able to do a video on a stainless Daytona for you. At this point, yeah, I probably could have gone gray market and bought it, but there's something, that I really like. It's kind of the thrill of the hunt for me. So I want to get that at retail. Like I said, I have enough spend, but the problem is in this market, there's a lot of people who have more spend, where even though, I've bought a lot of watches and a couple of jewelry pieces, nothing I would have spent just to get the watch. It's all stuff that I would have, bought anyway. I should have enough spend to get one of those watches, but there's people who probably have my spend in one piece of jewelry that want a Daytona and will get it before me. But here's to hoping, right? So hopefully one day we'll be doing this unboxing with a Daytona. I've been open to either a black dial or a white dial. I'm not really picky on that. I think both of them will fit in my collection well. I know the Panda's a little bit tougher just because of the, hype around it, but I don't really subscribe to the hype around the Daytona generally. I obviously want one, but I don't think it's kind of that, centerpiece in my collection. And I have, you know, a white dial Speedmaster that I really like too, so I'm perfectly fine with a black dial, and it would be something I would probably daily over my Submariner at that point. Anyway, one last shot here. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment. Like I said, subscribe to the channel so you can get alerts when I post this. I normally post watch content, but I do have some, you know, other pieces in my video history that I posted, like, you know, bag reviews, wallet reviews, things like that. I will be doing some more of those soon. I'll be doing some more of those. So if that's not your thing, not a problem. Just stick around for the watch content. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will sign off with one last view here of both of these Datejust two-tone. Lovely pieces. These were never... I mean, these are like home runs every time. They just, like, if you're going to be a one-and-done Rolex guy, I think it's either a Submariner or a Datejust, or if you're bold enough, a Daytona. But I do think there are better chronos on the market. I do like Omega's chronos better. So for me, Submariner, Datejust, the way to go. And thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me some comments. Thanks.